unfortunate. And so we have a lot to talk about, just a lot to get to. And if you want, hi everybody, welcome
Let's
to
talk
the
about
conversation.
love, health and wellness, transformation, yeah, we got it. Discuss your breakthrough, national issues.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have an audience that really from Europe to the United States, Canada, around the region, and of course, Bahamians right here who are very interested in just wanting to know the answers and ask the questions that get them the answers that they seek. Before we introduce
need a little inspiration, tune into the conversation. Talk about it on the conversation.
This is the time,
when you need a little
Shanique, when the country really need to find ways to join together to fight common problems that we have. Collaborative leadership.
You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shanique on the conversation, yeah.
Please share the video, share. Tag some people in the live feed, share it in your private Facebook group, share it in your WhatsApp group.
Here with Shanique on the conversation, yeah.
Welcome to the conversation. Welcome to this wonderful brand new week here on the show. Hope you all are doing well. Good afternoon to everybody who is streaming already, to all of the wonderful, how you call them again, regulars. The wonderful regulars. It's so good to see you all. It's good to have you guys. It's what, 17 days? I don't know if I counted right, because you don't count today, right? You count from tomorrow to the 16th of September. 17 days until the general election. How are you all feeling about that? It's a lot going on, and you would think that maybe, things are in place with some of these organizations, but man, there is an organization, while the players and the faces are quite familiar, but then they are revamped or new or something, and we'll find out exactly what they are in just a moment, because they are my special guests today. And then we are going to look at some hot topics. Lord Jesus, this, the election season, the political season, when everything is just coming out, right? Everything and everything about everything is just making the rounds and coming out there, etc. And so, of course, we are paying close attention to the chairman of the Water and Sewerage Corporation, to see exactly what's going on there, and as it relates to contracts and all the rest of it. We'll get to that. And also I'll ask the question to my panelists, because we have some hot topics coming up. 17 days out, who do they feel has the edge? Who is going to have the edge to give them the win at the polls? I want to know that. In fact, I want some of you all who are in the live stream. Let me know who y'all think winning on September 7th. That's Thursday, September 17th. Who y'all think is going to emerge the winner? But listen, welcome to the conversation, everybody. I just want to say hi really quickly. Hello to Linda Forbes, Dominic Oliver. Hello to Estelle Knowles. Hello to Wanda Albury. Hello to Gano Davis Hebburn. Good afternoon to you, Gano. Hello to Pauline Johnson. Hi to you, Rochelle Farrington. Hello to Karen Barr. Hi to Rosanna Bain. Good afternoon to you. Hello to Gaynell Knowles. Hi to, let's just see who I haven't seen already. Hi to Pat Brown. Good afternoon to you. Regina Hamilton. Good afternoon. Everybody who's coming in, good afternoon to you. Welcome to today's show. It's a good, hot, sort of fast, in your face one, and then be out. Now we have a lot going on this week. And so we can be live any day at any time this week. So you want to stay tuned. A lot of the political organizations have a lot to say, and I'm happy that they're engaging us to get their message out. And so, of course, we can be live. Like I said, I will, of course, promote it ahead of time, but I just want you all to be aware of that, so you can watch it, you can share it, you can listen to it, you can, if you're undecided and on the fence, you can hear what it is that they are putting out there, what they're saying, what they are sort of, I guess, what it is they want to do and help move the country forward. And so you can certainly, of course, stay tuned to the page to hear some of those input and insight and information for you, okay? And so welcome to the show once again. It's wonderful having you all streaming. We are going to jump in really quickly with the new leaders. In fact, I even the organization is what they'll have to remind me of, because I heard it once, and that's earlier. But welcome to the new leadership team of the newly formed coalition. Now, of course, we've been hearing so much about coalitions this election season. I was aware of one coalition, but we're going to hear exactly what it is, because I understand now that the coalition has a new face or new faces, and so we're going to get behind that and understand what it is and when were they elected, and how does this all sort of like add up. And so we're very happy to speak with Cassia Stewart, who has been elected leader, and this all happened last week, if I'm not mistaken, and also Ali McIntosh, his deputy. And so good afternoon to each of you. Of course, you know, both of them are political leaders in their own right, but in order to come together and be a one unit to sing with one voice, they have formed a coalition. And so good afternoon to you, gentlemen and lady. It's wonderful to have you both on the show, and welcome to the conversation. Mr. Stewart, let's jump in right with you, sir. First of all, good afternoon once again, and let us know what this coalition that I just spoke about. Is this a newly formed group, or is this just a part of what we've been hearing already?
Well, it is a newly formed organization called the United Coalition Movement. And what it is a conglomeration of most of the third parties. We have the BDM includes in the coalition. You have Ali McIntosh team is also included in the coalition. You have God Raspberry team included in the coalition. Several independent candidates who are running is included in the coalition. The Speaker of the House is included in the coalition. And so what it is a coming together of the best minds in one organization to be able to put up the best candidates to be the alternative government in the next election, if I could use those words. We've been listening to the cry of the Bahamian people for a long time, and some of us did not want to listen, and they're saying that, listen, you got to come together, you got to come together, you got to come together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it has been a tug of war. It has been a fight. It has been a pulling of tooth. But I think Ali McIntosh said it right. We put down our swords in order for us to be able to win the next election. And we all hold fast to our political parties, our colors, and so on. But what we did was, in the coming together, we then formed a new organization under the umbrella, which is an umbrella organization that brings all of these political parties together. And we had several members to the team. We had Lincoln Bain to the table.
So is Lincoln Bain, because that's the coalition we're used to hearing about. Is he a part of this coalition?
No, he's not a part of this coalition, and I'm going to allow my deputy, Ali McIntosh, to give you all the juicy details on that in a minute.
Okay.
But we also had the initial players on the team was you had Lincoln Bain, you had God Rasborough, we brought Arinthi Kumalafe to the table, myself, Ali McIntosh. You also had Michael and Seymour to the table as well too. Not everybody stayed to the table, but initially, leading up to the election, that's when a lot of the drama and the sensationalismness of the coalition happened. But Ali's going to give you all the juicy scoops. But I'm just going to tell you that this coalition is what the Bahamian people has been asking for. And right now, there's only one coalition. It is United Coalition. And this is the coalition that is the alternative government. We have some of the best minds. We have some of the brightest women. We have some bright individuals who are part of this team that really, really, really are capable of leading this government, and we are excited. I know the deputy, Ali McIntosh, she's excited about the team that she also leads. This team is a great team. And together, I think we can make this happen. I think the Bahamian people are now excited that something has finally happened. We were able to pull this off in a few days. We had no time because nomination day was right there, and we had to make sure that we choose.
So were you able to get candidates out to nominate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we have our team. Our team is nominated, and the team is on the ground right now as we speak. So we are definitely excited about what has happened. Now, of course, in any coming together of any organization, whether it's a marriage or whether it's a business or whatever, there's always your ups and downs. You buck your hair there and there, and you buck your toe. And so we're still eyeing on some of the kinks. We're still trying to find out each person's weaknesses and strengths, find out how do we gel together so that we can be able to sing the same song, the same tone, the same chord, so that the music that we sing to the Bahamian people is something acceptable. And so it's not been easy to pull this off. But I tell them, getting together is one thing, but staying together is the hard part. And so we have to be able to show the Bahamian people that, listen, we are leaders in our own right. And because we are leaders, we have the ability to be able to work together, regardless of our differences, regardless of the fact that we came from different political parties, regardless of our gender differences and so on. We're working together as one organization, as one team, as one voice to be able to bring unity to our Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Okay, Ali McIntosh, good afternoon to you. You heard the leader said, Cassius Stewart, that there is only one coalition. That's this coalition right here. What did you all do? Did you all what happened? I mean, when did it happen? Did you unseat Lincoln Bain? Like what happened?
This is, good afternoon to your audience today. This is the United Coalition. As if I may just for a moment say the definition of a coalition, which is a temporary alliance for combined action, especially of political parties forming an election. And so rightly said by Mr. Cassius Stewart, we began a story after the open parliament on Bay Street, which includes all of the parties, which includes the Bahamas Democratic Movement, the Bahamas Constitution Party, the Righteous Government Movement, COI, which is Coalition of Independence, DNA, the Bahamas Way Forward Movement, the PNC, and of course the Speaker of the House. So we started with a very wide table in terms of getting the parties together. He said it right. The Bahamian people have been calling. Could y'all please come closer together so that we can actually identify the people who should be part of the new Bahamas, who should form a new government after the 17th of September. We have worked for the last 8 to 9 days, meeting every single day, not just only to come together in this coalition, but also to be able to identify candidates that would have been put on the ballot. As we say, we have identified, we have nominated candidates. And so we are in the next few days and weeks will say to the Bahamian public that we want you to make an alternative or elect an alternative to the FNM and the PLP. The Bahamian people needs an alternative. We are that alternative. We are experienced politicians. We are not novices. We have been around the field several times, and we are here presenting ourselves as the leaders of the new Bahamas. And so it has taken some time. It is still a work in progress, but we walk forward for the country as a united coalition of parties, bringing to the Bahamian people the next alternative, a united coalition for country, for the Bahamian people.
How are you convincing people? I mean, you all are not new to public life and to politics, but the point is now under this umbrella, how are you going and getting the message out? I mean, I said a minute ago, I think it's 17 days until the 16th. How that is a tall order. What's going on now to present this umbrella body to everybody, and then let us know which one of the organizations are now a part of it. But how are you going about getting your message out there?
The candidates, and I wish just before I let the leaders speak too, the candidates are already on the ground. Almost, other than a few candidates, we would have probably had to shift in different places. All of the candidates are already on the ground. They've been on the ground. They are working in their constituency. Something I imagine the speaker says that is quite correct. If we can't convince them to vote for us or vote for see the change in terms of the symbol on the ballot, then we can't convince them to vote for us as a party. But the Bahamian people can't be crying for change, wanting change, and then when the change is here, says we can't understand it or the time is too short. Whatever time we have, whether it's 17 days or it's 20 days, the point is that time is enough. Because
you were saying, Ali McIntosh, that guess what, whether it's 7 days or 17 or 70 or 700, you say you want change. Now here it is. This is what you're saying?
Yes, it is. Do what you say and be a man up to your word in this regard. Man or woman up to your word. But I know Cassius could speak to that too in regards to how we're going to do this in 17 days. Your mic is off. Cassius, your mic is off.
Speak. Let us see if we can hear you now. We're not sure what's happening with your audio, Cassius. Okay, right. Ali, pick up, because you know, Ali, you're a broadcaster, but we can't have dead air. So Ali,
Okay.
let's just
agree. Go ahead. You asking a question about the leadership and those persons who remain in this coalition.
Yeah, who are part? Which organizations are now a part of this new coalition?
The Bahamas Constitution Party, the Bahamas Democratic Movement. We have the People's National Coalition, and of course, the Speaker of the House, our advisor and involvement in the coalition. We have others that are coming now, and we know that others will come in terms of the Bahamian people being convinced that this is an altogether party. But I think Mr. Cassius is back.
Am I back? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
We also have some independent candidates who are running in this election who has come under the umbrella. However, we have some of the brightest minds in the country as a part of our team in terms of leadership and PR. And so we know what we have to do. We have to be able to unite our team together. Elections are really won within the last 2 weeks, And so we're not too concerned about that.
You're right.
I just came out of my constituency and I'm going into another constituency right now. And most people still do not know how they're going to vote. They're not sure who they're going to vote for. And so I think this is the wow moment that the Bahamian people have been looking for. They said, this is it. And this is what they're looking for. The challenge is we had to be able to put up credible, intelligent, smart, articulate people who Bahamian people feel like, listen, they could form a government.
And you feel as though you've pulled those people together.
We got more than enough. We got more than enough great people a part of our team. We are confident that we can do what needs to be done in order to take us over the hump. For me, my greatest concern with this coalition is I was always concerned about just not running, but I was concerned about governance. For me, who is going to govern? Running a constituency is easy, but if you win, then can you do the heavy lifting? Can you work in finance to be able to bring austerity measures to deal with macro and microeconomics? Do you understand how to be able to deal with the national debt? Do you have an appreciation for agriculture? Do you understand all of the intricacies of agriculture to grow our own crops? Do you understand?
Well, we would hope with the Cassius and Ali that these are the bright minds, innovative, creative minds you have pulled together. But let's just get back into what it is, because a lot of us are still saying, and I have a question about the name, but what happened that you all are speaking to me today versus Lincoln Bain? How, Cassius, did you happen to be elected in a room of people, a meeting that took place, and you emerged the leader and Ali the deputy? How did that happen?
I'll tell you. I was invited to the first meeting, and I came a bit late because I was hesitant of coming to the meeting. I wasn't too much interested in a coalition, but I decided to come anyway. And in the meeting, there was the Lincoln Bain. It was Mr. Mutri. There was several of the players. I'm not sure if Ali was in the meeting. I know that the DNA was not in the meeting, and so I insisted.
Look like his mic is gone. His mic is gone again, eh?
That's because some people keep calling me. My phone.
Listen, man, tell the people, y'all stop calling this man.
Yes, stop it.
The leader of yes.
The phone don't stop ringing. But anyway, so I insisted that we bring Arinthia Komalafi to the table as well. She did come to the meeting, however, she didn't follow through. She had a difference.
So the DNA say they want no part of no coalition. Wait, don't. The DNA has said they want no part of a coalition.
Well, she didn't outrightly said that. She was supposed to come back to the table, but she never did. And so she didn't outrightly say that she was not a part. And I just suspect that because there was bad blood in the room, that may have been one of the key factors why she didn't come back to the table.
Well, anyway, I guess y'all don't want me go in that direction. What is the bad blood in the room? How this meeting to come together as a strong unit?
Well, let me finish the story. And so because people have differences, they have their differences. So I'm not sure what their differences were between Mr. Bain and Miss Komalafi, but they had their differences. this was we had our meeting from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Sunday was scheduled to do the candidates selection and also the leadership selection. And during that time, the rules were that every party would have 5 votes plus the leader. And so all of the political parties gathered together, and we were supposed to go through all of the candidate selection to choose among the best from Lincoln's team, my team, Ali's team, and Adrian's team, and so on. So all these political
Hold
parties.
on, wait a minute now. Ali on my show before. See, you're talking a little fast. I trying to slow down this conversation. Ali said before, which one? Adrian Francis. So
Yes,
Adrian, he has a political organization as well.
Well, he was invited to the meeting, and apparently we, well, I was not at the meeting at the time, where he was selected as part of an executive team in regards to doing the work together.
Yes.
And that is the reason how he were selected on part of the executive council. So,
and so
his conversation.
Yeah, he was planning on fielding some candidates in the next election as well under the sovereign movement. And so all of them got together, and like I said, I was the last one to come to the table, but I did. And Ali, you want to tell them the juicy story about how the election went down? Because I know what they were here.
Yeah, because we want to know how you all are the leaders of this new body, this new organization.
Well, Shanique, this is a very, and I wouldn't say a funny story, but during all of the meetings, Mr. Bain keep insisting on having the leadership picked before the candidates. When we agreed to go forward by selecting the team and then the leadership, he did seek that. We finally agreed to have persons come, to have persons elected as the leadership. What resulted at the end of the very apparent and very transparent count is Mr. Bain was not elected as he thought he would have been. In fact, he really only got 2 votes more than his 5 people that was in the room. I do believe that it might have been a very embarrassing thing because he thought he had more. What erupted from there was really terrible, disgraceful. They were not restrained because of the fact that we were in a church. There was very bad carrying on in which Mr. Bain and his followers finally left the church. I must say, Mr. Cassie Stewart attempted to offer Mr. Bain to be joint leader with him in order for us to be able to at least have unity. He refused that. His followers refused that because he did not have outright leadership. He refused. He would not walk behind Cassie Stewart, as he said, and they left the room. They left the meeting totally disgruntled after having behaved very badly in the room. And so it totally disqualified him really from leadership based on his behavior last week Sunday.
Well, I offered him joint leadership and he become the prime minister if he wins.
He would not have it. I do believe, Shanique, and Mr. Cassius Stewart was very humble in this regard. He actually wanted to keep peace. I know that he is a peacemaker, and he tried to keep the peace as much as possible. People in the room was very disturbed. They began to pray because they figured this should not be happening in this church. But Mr. Bain did nothing to calm down his supporters, to quiet down and move quietly out of the room. They finally exit the room. They finally exit the church in a very disgruntled way. That was a very sad scene in this regard.
So where does it stand now? Have you all been able to mend some sort of the relationship to be able to move forward as one unit?
I doubt it will be mended because of this. As I said, Mr. Cassius Stewart was attempting with all to be a peacemaker in this regard. But because it was a process that was transparent and everybody agreed going forward, I believe the other Bain, Mr. Lincoln Bain, determined that he could not walk behind Mr. Cassius Stewart. And that's why they left him and his followers. It was
but isn't it, but Ali McIntosh and Cassius Stewart, I mean, isn't it the best interest of a coalition moving forward that, you know, you would want to have everybody around the table holding hands and not have this, you know, because if Lincoln Bain is not a part of this, then obviously he still is maintaining the other coalition. Am I right or no?
Yes, well, Shanique, his organization has went ahead and ratified their candidates, and they have nominated, and so they will be competing in the next election. I think, though, we have already passed that in my mind. That's not going to happen no more. I think what is exciting for me now is that we can be able to show and display our team to the nation, because the nation is, while we may have our challenges, the nation is still looking for leaders, and they're looking for leadership. It is imperative that we now show the nation that we are leaders, that we can bring about the change that they're looking for. The country needs some serious changes. We have high national debt that is really strangling our economy. We have the depletion of our pension fund and national insurance. We have our economy that has shrunk by 14% last year. And so we have some critical challenges. And for me, I try not to focus too much
So
on
you
all
were
the
trying,
problems.
so Cassius, you were saying your focus is, guess what? You were elected. Now let's go and try win an election.
Let's get it done. Let's get the work.
Okay. Well, here's a question.
Because-
Here's a question, because I want to ask you too about where you were running, Cassius, on South and Central Luther. How's that been, the reception, and what are you finding there in the constituency? But here is Veronica Ward. I really don't like the name coalition involving two involving two different parties. Couldn't you all have found another name for this group? Seems as if something is not right here. You all please speak the truth. I have had enough of lies. That is Veronica. She is asking, really, couldn't it have been another name versus another coalition?
If I have full disclosure, I really
Go ahead.
thought
Yes, go ahead, Ali.
And we are parties coming together. I do believe that a partnership for governance would be more appropriate, but we are in a democratic process. So when we are making a decision, obviously people will make a decision based on the majority rule. But we do believe going forward, as we said, the meaning of the word coalition is people coming together for combined action to make sure this works. And that is what we're looking at. You're looking at people who have been credible over the time. We've laid down some swords. I must say, with all full disclosure, this is not a perfect organization. This is not a perfect movement, but the point is the people are calling for some level of unity to go forward. We have laid down some swords to do that. If you knew, Shanique, what happened in the room even from Friday, and I think Cassie spoke to it earlier, from Friday, that people were attempting to say, okay, I repent, let's move forward. That started on Friday. It didn't end up the same way on Sunday, but it started on Friday. So people were trying to put down their swords to make this happen. This was a very phenomenal going forward in these meetings. So I don't want people to think that it was easy for us to have come even to this point. I
don't think it's ever happened before.
Yeah, and so we are making strides based on the request, as Mr. Cassie said, about what the Bahamian people want. So people are going to obviously castrate us and chastise us and criticize us. I'm having that in my organization as well as Mr. Cassie Stewart, in regards to how we go forward. But this is for the country. This is for making sure that we get what is done better, what is done best for the Bahamian people. And they have to see that we're not working this for ourselves. We can stay among ourselves and do what we were doing. It was comfortable there, but we are talking about being uncomfortable for what is necessary for the Bahamian people. Cassie is a peacemaker. He's a peacemaker.
Can I add to that? Remember now, the lady said, it's two coalitions. Remember now, when we agreed to the name United Coalition, Lincoln Bain was in the room with us. So there was not going to be a COI any longer. It was going to be United Coalition. And so because he walked out on the meeting, we end up with this like this, you see, because he agreed to the name, he agreed to the symbols. Everybody had an agreement on the new name. Everybody agreed on the symbols. We were back and forth, throwing out different ideas, and we all agreed that this is what's going to be going forward. And so it was not supposed to be a BDM. It was not supposed to be a BCP or a COI. It was supposed to be United Coalition in the next election. And so because he didn't follow through, we end up now with two coalitions per se.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Mr. Cassie Stewart.
Yeah, that he said it succinctly. Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Karen Barr says only if the third parties can all come together as one, they could have a better chance at winning a few seats. Here is Shad Roll says the DNA and the Coalition of Independence is not a part of this rebellious group. Here is Gano Davis Hepburn. It surprises me that a lot of people don't remember why 2017 happened. What happened 2017, Gano Davis? I don't even remember. Karen Barr says, please, okay, I agree with you, Karen. Let's be respectful to our political leaders. Whether you agree or disagree with them, let's be respectful. Bernadette Johnson says, good afternoon. They say it's change. What change? What is your platform? I don't care what you're going to do and how what you're going to do. Okay, she wants to know that. So then let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, Mr. Stewart, in Central and
Well,
South Eleuthera. What are you hoping to do in that constituency, and how are you planning on moving in that constituency forward?
Well, we're excited. We're excited about what's going on in Eleuthera. Over the last year and a half, I've been talking about a policy of number one. How do we make the Bahamas number one in everything? We have to reach to the point in the nation's history where we are number one in sports in the region, number one in education, best in public and private school system. We have to become number one in agriculture, number one in healthcare. And so for me, I am being pushing this policy of number one because I want our people to strive for something, to believe in something, and something to hold on to. Ironically, though, I'm running in South Central and South Eleuthera, which held the first parliament. Eleuthera was the first capital of the Bahamas. In Cupid's Key, there was the first parliament. We had the first U.S. Consular General there. We had the first jail there. In Eleuthera, we had the first factories there. And so Eleuthera used to be the first in everything, the first in education, because you get people like Timothy Gibson and all of those people coming out of islands like Eleuthera. And so for me, going back to Eleuthera is to be able to resonate the very same thing that I've been speaking about, the policy of number one. We need to make sure that the Bahamas is number one in everything. When you look at the Caribbean region and you look at the rest of the world, right now we are number 6 in the world in cancer. We have 40% of our nation is diagnosed with diabetes. We have hypertension and high blood pressure killing Bahamians, which is the number one killer of Bahamians. We have a healthcare system that has collapsed on us. We have the highest national debt. We pay $450 million on interest payments every year. The economy shrunk by 14% last year. Our dollar is being threatened to be devalued. And so we have a lot of problems. And so for me, I don't like to talk too much about the problems. I like to talk about the future. And so what we're going to do in Eleuthera is bring back those factories. We're going to make sure that we can bring the canning factories for the tomatoes and the pineapples back to Eleuthera. We're going to make sure that the factories to be able to produce salt and other commodities are put in Eleuthera and some of the other islands. We got to make sure that we build some of the best hospitals in Eleuthera. We got to go into different areas like medicine and other industries where we could bring retirement homes, where we can have special homes for retirement people in these different communities. And so for me, it's the possibility of creating some great things for Eleuthera, but not just Eleuthera. Our policy is basically for the entire Bahamas. So I am running in Central and South Eleuthera, but we're going to build a new hospital down there. Right now, everybody's afraid in Eleuthera because the word is that if they get sick, they can't come into
especially with the Disney development and all that. Eleuthera is burgeoning and does need its own medical facility.
But you know that we have the highest cancer per capita in the Bahamas in Eleuthera, and so. And also renal failure is also on the rise in Eleuthera. So there's a lot of health issues that is affecting the people of Eleuthera. And so, I mean, it doesn't make sense us boasting about all these big things if we can't become healthy. And so the first job is to figure out what is killing us and figure out how do we stop it. How do we
Ali,
get
of course,
healthy?
Ali McIntosh, of course, you are in. I would love to give you guys even more time. You know exactly how to reach out to the conversation and its team. Thank you. Ali McIntosh, you are in Garden Hills. I want you to give you an opportunity just for a minute or two to talk about how your campaigning in Garden Hills is looking and how it's progressing. Hello to Adrian Mott in Switzerland, who is streaming. Thank you very much, because I know you guys are several hours ahead. So thank you very, very much. I also want to let me just see one or two comments that I can read, that I'm trying to read. But Ali, go ahead and talk about your bid for Garden Hills.
Just before that, I think you say a question, and if I just take 2 minutes to add to what Mr. Stewart has said, is that when we're talking about the platform, the BDM, the BCP has been for 20 years talking about some of the newish initiatives for the country. I think if you had seen the BCP website at bcpparty.org or the BDM website, you would see all of these initiatives that we bring forward to the table. So when you're talking about a platform, obviously all of these issues that we have brought forward will actually come together as to how we will govern the nation. And some of these plans are very much alike regarding food security, rather hospitals in Eleuthera and Grand Bahama, in the Family Islands. So there is proper medical treatment. So some of these plans coming together will be how we govern together. And so I just wanted to add to what Mr. Stewart said about platforms, what we will do. Regarding Garden Hills obviously is a suburban area. It's more suburban than urban, but there are some spots within Garden Hills where there's a level of poverty, there's a level of not having adequate facilities, adequate street lighting. We have over 56 streets in Garden Hills constituency that has no names. And this is important because I lived on my street for 10 years before they came and put up a sign. But in Poland Division number 6 and Poland Division number 10 has a lot of streets that has no name. That's one of the primary things. Let's name our streets that I want to do in Garden Hills. In addition to that, we want to be able to put in Garden Hills some of social infrastructure, like having people come together in regards to reading. We want, of course, city government in terms of government for local government and making sure that each individual community is able to work together to make sure things are accomplished. That's part of the greater picture that is of local government and how communities should be able to work together. We have several side groups who are agreeing to work with the Bahamas Constitution Party that brings a lot of ideas as to what makes good for community building, family bonding. And so in addition to that, I love music. I love young people involvement, as I've done all along. And so we want to be able to put dance groups and music groups and choirs and musicians all in the constituency to build groups where older people are teaching younger people how to develop themselves. So these are part of social work in addition to what we want to do throughout the country. But in Garden Hills, we really want to make all of the communities more neighborhood friendly and more friendly in regards to how we relate to each other.
Stone McCowan says the WTO, World Health Organization matter is a very hard question. The PLP can't answer it, and the FNM, I guess, as well. What is the United Coalition Party's position on WTO membership?
Let me respond to that, and I'm not quite sure what is Mr. Stewart's position, but we are still working out some of these details. But regarding the WTO, I've worked with all of those groups who says no to the WTO because of this fact. The Bahamas is not ready for the WTO because we have no factories, we have no industries, we have not manipulated or use the resources in the nation to build industries. And that's why we're not ready to go to the WTO. We need to be able to have advantage in trading if we're going to the WTO. And so that is what we want to do going forward, is build the kind of infrastructure in all of these islands whereby if we have to trade, and for big companies and countries that will be trading, multinational trading back and forth, that we are going to be ready to do that. So if we have to push that forward, push that back further, we know where it is regarding November, but if that has to be pushed back further in order to accommodate, to make sure our society is ready for that, that would be my recommendation. I'm sure Mrs. Stewart can add to that.
Well, when you're talking about trading and you're talking, our trade deficit now sits at $2.4 billion. We import $1.2 billion worth of food products. And so, what we believe as a new leaders of this coalition and the new generation is that we have to go for regional domination. Bahamian businesses that stop being in this one circle or this one area and go into the region. We have to position Bahamian businesses around the globe. And so we got to make sure Bahamian businesses are in Jamaica, in Trinidad, and St. Lucia, throughout the region. What we've been doing is we've been comfortable playing in our little small $14 billion economy market and think that that's success. The world is a big place. Africa just signed a single market economy, which is $2 trillion, which is now looking for members of the diaspora to come and invest. So that's you and me. And so what I want to do is I want to position Bahamian businesses to engage the African economy, to engage the African market. I want to also position Bahamian businesses like the Kellys and the Moscows, the big companies, the small companies, to position themselves around the world in the Caribbean. And so for me, it's about making sure that every Bahamian, irrespective of what color you are, what party symbol you hold on to, that your business is successful. But we are pushing what we call regional domination when it comes to business. Bahamian
Right.
business will be throughout the region and throughout the world. That is our
Which
goal.
which
That is our
is which
mandate.
is an
And
which
so
is a wonderful
therefore, in that
mandate.
case, the WTO would not have we would not have a problem with them because, Shanique, we don't have, our founding fathers
Come a
gave us
little closer to your device. Your audio is low.
you can hear me? Our founding fathers
Much
gave us
better.
some context clues for our success. And one of the things they said that our national success can only be guaranteed through a national commitment to self-discipline and industries. Those industries has to be realized in order for us to be able to become successful. Now listen to this, Shanique, right? Right now in 1982, Ronald Reagan signed a deal called what they call the Caribbean Basin Initiative. The Caribbean Basin Initiative allows for any products manufactured in the Bahamas or the Caribbean duty-free import into the United States. The problem is we don't manufacture nothing in the Bahamas. In addition to that, we have treaty to the Lome Convention, Lome 1, Lome 2, and Lome 3, which gives every Caribbean island, Pacific states, access to the European market, which stands about $4 trillion. And so we have to now begin to build the industries. So companies like Morton Salt that's been benefiting from the Caribbean Basin Initiative, the Lome Convention, they're not really Bahamian owned. We have to create Bahamian business that can benefit from these trade agreements that have been signed many, many years ago. And so for me, I'm not afraid of WTO or WGO or WPO. I'm interested in dominating the world. I want Bahamians to dominate the world. And so
I think
I
that's how
realize
we
that in
should look at it.
basketball,
Yeah, I think that's how we should look at it. Truly, is where we can fit in to dominate, just as you said.
Yes.
and,
I do
and so
agree. I do agree with everything that he said because the focus coming out of the BCP is the same way. When Bahamians own the businesses in the extension in the world, we not only is able to bring US dollars back to our economy, but we are able to trade at the level in which we want to be number one, as Mr. Cassis continue to say, number
number
one
one.
in everything. And we can be number one in everything. We don't even have to go out of the country to find the resources to become number one. It is already here in the nation. All we
Listen,
have to do is take those smart minds and make it happen.
when you look at
Absolutely. I want to give each of you. I know we are well over our segment, but that's fine. I want to give each of you, please, an opportunity to have a final wrap up comment, or do you all want to go for the hour? Because I could see that you're all chomping at the bits to say more.
Yeah, see, listen, for me, let's go for it. Because what I do believe, when you look at basketball, you could never score when you on defense. We have to take Bahamians and put them on offense. You could only score when you're on offense. For many, many years, when there was the Caribbean single market economy, the
The
argument, the
economy.
free movement of people, everybody keeps saying, "Oh, they're coming to take our jobs. They're coming to take our jobs," and we were afraid. What about us going to take their jobs? We got to position Bahamian businesses to take over the region. I've been in conversation with people in St. Lucia who said, "Mr. Stewart, we want Bahamian businesses to come invest in St. Lucia. I am interested in taking Bahamians to St. Lucia to be able to invest in the farm so that we can grow crops to feed the entire Southern Caribbean." And they're
That's
interested
right.
in that.
That's
And
right.
so for me, it's about how do we position Bahamian businesses. Now, for me, I don't segregate. I don't say because you're a white Bahamian being. Once you're a Bahamian citizen, if you're a rich Bahamian, we can make sure that you get richer. If you're a broke Bahamian, we want to make sure that you get rich. If you are so rich and not so rich, we can make sure you get rich. Because as long as we can empower our citizens, then we would have succeeded. The goal is to make sure that we could position every Bahamian on the pathway to success. You get the Lome Convention, which comprises the entire European market. You get the Caribbean Basin Initiative, which takes over the United States market on a $7 trillion economy. You get the African single market economy, which is $3 trillion. Then you have Central and South America, which is
Well,
also a
listen,
very, very
that
powerful
is
trading
only
bloc.
Cassius Stewart and Ali McIntosh. That is only talking about taking advantage of international trade, regional trade. For example, with like WTA, for example, how do you both plan on fixing what's here? For example, the national debt and other issues that's going on presently, the public healthcare system that is in dire need of boosting something. We need to know those answers, employment, etc. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we will have you continue. Destiny Saunders, as we go to the break, says, Shanique, this is a power move initiative to see the independents have come together for the common good of this country. I am sure that this team will come out victorious and win so that all Bahamians will be given their entitlement of benefits and also exercise their constitutional rights. My family and friends are excited for this power move. We're going to take a break and come back with more of the United Coalition Party that was just recently...
United Coalition.
United Coalition, not party. United Coalition.
Yes,
of course, you are looking at the leaders. You're looking at the leaders, Cassius Stewart and Ali McIntosh. There are several other organizations under this umbrella, several other quite impressive persons, as Cassius mentioned earlier, and they have come together, teamed up to go and not only win on September 16th, but also have a number of wonderful ideas that they say will move the country forward. We're going to take a break and come back with more of the conversation after this.
Make this your best summer ever with Flirty Girl's Sexy Summer Slim Down. Lose weight and win up to $3,000 in prizes. Sign up today and enjoy weekly challenge group workouts, including fat blasting boot camp, yoga, Pilates, cardio boxing, hardcore abs, dance off the pounds, and more. Enroll as a VIP and receive a free 7-day detox, 1 free laser lipo treatment, discounts on body contouring, facials, and Brazilian wax, plus massage and sauna treatments for just $1 per minute, all summer long. That's right, all summer long. Prizes include 1 year of free body contouring, free fitness programs, and so much more. All participants will be invited to take part in our sexy summer photo shoot to show off their results. So come on, what are you waiting for? Registration ends June 10th. Call 677-1689 or WhatsApp 467-9630 for more information.
To shed some extra inches of unwanted belly fat. Did you know that there are alternatives to surgery to get rid of unwanted fat? Let Therapy Natural Health Spa help you reduce fat without surgery. Therapy Natural Health Spa employs a series of methods in a customized plan to suit your fat loss goals. Target those stubborn and challenging areas on the body with our cavitation body shaper that uses heating lasers to break up and melt fat during each session. Did you know that as you drink water and exercise, that your lymphatic system and liver work together to help eliminate fat? Help you get the results you've been waiting for. Call us for a free consultation and let Therapy Natural Health Spa work out a plan for you. Check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Our numbers are 393-1126 or 806-1132.
Maybe it's for the thrill, or the scenery, or maybe you do it for the speed, or maybe it's for the baby. It might just be for the next stop, or even for the beautiful moments. Whatever your reason for driving, we'll be there to keep you going. Atura Auto, servicing your vehicle at a price that keeps your pockets happy. Call us today.
On this Monday Hot Topics Monday. The only thing is the Hot Topics panel, I have to apologize to them because Cassius Stewart, the leader of the United Coalition, as well as Ali McIntosh, the deputy leader, are here, and they are. But listen, you're going to see you will see them. You will see the Hot Topics panel. In fact, I'll see if we can maybe pull them together tomorrow. Who knows? I tell you, a lot's going to be happening on the page. But they are talking about the coalition that happened last week and the fact that Cassius Stewart and Ali McIntosh are now leaders of that group. There are a number of other political leaders in that make up that organization. And they have come together, they say, to be stronger and to make a greater impression September 16th. Here's something, Cassius, Kara, if you can bring them in. Cassius, you talk about WTO and seeing our fruits and vegetables and just what's native to the Bahamas, just around the world, in particular around the region. Well, get this. Deborah Seymour Otto says Bahamian mangoes were spotted at a local supermarket chain in London, England, in the United Kingdom for a short time this year. That was so encouraging to see. So do not know if it was a test run or not, but it was just very good to see, she said. And so you're right, these are things that must be encouraged. Wonderful opportunities, business opportunities like this that you export to certain places and that can develop and empower Bahamians while developing new industries for many people. Cassius? You are muted, Cassius. You are muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, here's the deck of cards that we have. We have 5 million tourists comes to the Bahamas every year. We have a large second home on population. We have islands like Eleuthera Harbor Island. You get all these islands with all these tourists looking for food because they go to these restaurants. But we have to bring food in to feed them. We have to make sure that these islands are self-sufficient to the point where they can take care of their local population plus the tourist population. We need to make sure that we grow enough food to be able to sustain Atlantis, to be able to sustain Bahama, the Point. And then in addition to that, the excess, we now look at how do we now export to the region. And so a part of our regional domination is that we want to get to the place where we can feed the region food. We have 0.8% arable land in the Bahamas. In other words, we don't have that much good land because we have a lot of hard rock. But what we have been doing is we've been looking at what we call vertical farming, where we can build of greenhouses throughout the islands, in Exuma, in Eleuthera, in Grand Bahama, in Inagua, to be able to sustain the local population, whether we're growing tomatoes and lettuce and cabbage and cucumbers and basil and parsley and all the herbs. And so we need to be able to position ourselves to be able to do that, make that happen. And so for us, it's about making sure that we use the land that we have to be able to produce the crops that we want to feed our visitors and to feed ourselves. Now, we know we have, like I said, we have some of the highest health issues in the world. We know that out of America, we have a lot of genetically modified organisms. We're not sure whether the long-term negative effect of genetically modified organisms is causing the high cancer rate, the hypertension, the diabetes. I am interested in organic foods. And so we need to make sure that we can grow organic foods in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. So that when you see the label, it is made in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. When you see the label of Morton salt right now, it says made in the United States. We know where it's made. We know where the raw material comes from. But we have to change the narrative. We need leadership that says, listen, if you're going to eat it, it got to be made here. When you're looking at pork chops and steak and meat, we have already the template in Long Island. We need to make sure that we can produce our own organic chickens and eggs and so on. So
And
it's all made in the Bahamas.
it's being done, but obviously it needs to be, right, it's being done, but it needs to obviously be funded well and expanded.
Let me add to what Mrs. Stewart saying, because I just want to invite persons to go on bcpparty.org or mybdm.org. Mybdm.org, you will see the BDM's 40-year plan. If you go to bcpparty.org, you'll see the BCP's vision. We do have a vision that is very similar in regards to agribusiness, feeding ourselves, being able to provide for the Bahamas organic food. The deputy leader of the BCP is Cornelius McKinney. He has gone on an experiment over the last few years, and this is in keeping with what Mr. Stewart is saying, to see what all we can grow in the Bahamas. And he has identified probably almost 100 different things that we import that we can actually grow here in the Bahamas, including grapes and apples. These are things in our pursuit of changing the nation that we must get done if we are going to go to the next place in development of the country. So Mr. Stewart is quite right that our vision, as we look at how do we feed ourselves, how we feed the amount of tourists coming here, how do we increase the economic development of the country.
And making it mandatory that resort development properties purchased locally.
What is grown here. And all of this is going to increase employment. All of this is going to create jobs. We can have full employment if we go into agribusiness to make certain that we feed ourselves. We don't have to import. That's what, $600 million. It might be more, right, Mr. Stewart, in terms of what we import, in terms of food.
1.2 billion.
1.2 billion.
1.2 billion in what we import in food.
That's right.
Yeah, so think about it. Suppose we use that 1.2 billion in actually agribusiness to actually grow and export around the Caribbean and throughout the Bahamas, so that we get to do what we need to do to employ our people, feed ourselves the most healthy food. And if the increase, as Mr. Stewart says, in cancer, in Eleuthera, in Grand Bahama, we know in New Providence, it is because we're importing these GMO foods. We got to do something more. And this generation, we who have worked for 20 years in this regard, the time has come that we put our best foot forward, what we are doing now, and Mr. Cassie Stewart, and myself, and people like Cornelius McKinney and Garth Rosborough, Brenda Harris, Charlene Paul, some of the talented people who is going to be part of a cabinet that brings the vision to the Bahamian people to make sure we get what we need to develop the nation, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
We got to be
if the coalition, the United Coalition is successful on September 16th, would you reach out to Lincoln Bain? You mentioned, you called all the other names, many of the other names. Would you reach out to the others to bring them on?
I'm sure I'm going to let Mr. Stewart say it, but I believe in collaboration, and I believe that we need all of the talent, all of the positive energy in the nation in order to build it. Despite negativity that might have happened before, when people are prepared to work together, to come to the table, we can do it with all of us. They have to be prepared to respond based on that too. I don't know what Mr. Stewart is thinking.
Forward, upward, onward, together. We have to build this country together. No matter who you are, no matter which political background you come from, which political ideology you may hold, we have to build this country together. And for us, our primary goal is making sure that we can eat the right food, become the healthiest society, the healthiest country in the region, so that we can be able to build this country. You cannot expect productivity from a sick nation. And so that is why I'm so excited about our 1030 program. That's what we want to introduce. Losing 10 pounds in 30 days for the nation. We got to get our country exercising. We got to get our country being
you need to engage everyone, because you're talking to someone who led before. Ali, you can let him know about this, since you are now with him. Someone who led a national campaign. And so don't just speak stuff. engage before, so people can know exactly that you're very serious. That's all I'm saying.
Shanique, if I may, Mr. Stewart is saying that, but all of us, I think we believe in the commitment for the health of a nation is the wealth of a nation. Yep. So if the health of the nation is the wealth of the nation, one of the work of the BCP in terms of our projection forward was a Ministry of Health and Wellness. I believe there should be no problem with me and Mr. Cassie Stewart in that regard. Health and wellness. And the wellness is that everybody who has a determination in bringing forward these things should be able to be brought to the table, and we make sure the nation go forth in all of these programs. None of them have to be left out to build a nation. So whether you produce it, Cassie Stewart, I do, anyone else, all of these will have to come together to do the nation. I believe we have the kind of spirit and the collaboration of spirit to bring it all together to make sure it doesn't matter whether you come from the FNM, the PLP, the BDM, the BCP, COI, RGM, DNA, PNC, and anybody else. Mm-hmm. We can bring this together to make good for our country. This one is for country, and the reason it is for country is the preamble of the Constitution says it right. When our forefathers said that we as a nation commit that the preservation of our freedom is guaranteed to a national commitment to the industries, to loyalty, to self-discipline. All of these is going to get us where we need to go. We've committed to that. All of the coalition partners are committed to the preamble of the Constitution to get done what needs to get done for the people, so that our forefathers can say, wow, they're getting done what we did not and have the opportunity to do.
Thank you both very much. Mr. Cassius Stewart, leader of the United Coalition, and also Deputy Leader Ali McIntosh. I thank both of you very much for spending this hour with us. First of all, to bring us up to date on this this new organization, and also the organization's mandate. And so thank you very, very much. Of course, we will be paying close attention to both of your individual races, as well as what the UC does nationally. And so I appreciate both of you very much for stopping by and spending this hour with us. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Listen, social media audience, I thank you very much for much of your comments and participation. I did not have a chance to read nearly half of them, but that's okay. Please do share the live stream, and stay close to the page for all of this week, because we have a number of other interviews coming up, interviews with candidates, interviews with party officials, and so it's really going to be a pretty interesting, informative, exciting, and so certainly looking forward to seeing all of you. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon.
I need a little conversation. You need a little conversation. We can go far with the conversation. Here with Shanique on the conversation.